Hey everyone, today we're going to be making a simple calculator with Python. So, welcome. Um, I'm gonna lead this video with a little bit of my background history here. I pretty much just started coding maybe like 2 years ago, and even then I work a lot of things on the go. I don't always have time to reach out and learn as much as I want to in a run of the day, but I do it anyways just because I enjoy it. And so that brings you to my first point: is what skills you're gonna need for this. And honestly, I'm gonna bring it down pretty simple. And if you don't understand it by the end of this video, I'm sure you'll be able to find something else out there that might help you. But I'm hoping I can explain it as simple as possible, so that everyone can pretty much start out this as the first project without it being a hassle. However, there are going to be some tools involved here. That being said, you're going to need a laptop or a computer. For our whole tutorial here, I am going to be using my Asus ZenBook Duo Pro 15. You don't need something like this, but anything really, even a Chromebook that can run like Visual Studio Code or some kind of code editing software would be good enough, and be able to have Python on it as well. That's two of the main things, because since we're building this whole calculator in Python, you kind of need to be able to code in that coding language. Okay, so but where do we start here? So since I'm on Windows 10, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Windows key here. We're going to put in PowerShell. So then we're going to come up to the Windows PowerShell app here. And all we're going to do is simply put Python -- version. I'm pretty sure just doing Python -- v will also do the same thing, but I can't remember. And right now you can see my computer is currently running Python 3.9.5, which is what we want. You can easily find Python. If you don't have Python installed and you get some error code or not find anything, you can go to the python.org downloads, and you'll be able to find the latest version there. I'm not even up on the latest version. They must have updated this, but either way, I'm not even on the latest version. So it just shows you, as long as you have Python on there, and this should work. It's a pretty simple calculator. Okay, so close all this stuff out. Now, we want to make this is just an easy way to keep it. I like to keep my files. I got a couple of files over there, but if you go to New Folder, and all we'll do here for this is we'll just rename it Python calculator. Boom, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to open up Visual Studio Code. Now this is what we're going to be coding in for this whole calculator. I like it. It's very versatile. It spans across all kinds of languages. It has debugging. It has Docker into it. But these are all topics for another day. We'll explore it later. And you can also find, if you don't have it, you can also download it at code.visualstudio.com, or you search it up on the internet. I'm sure you'll find it. And since we're on Windows, we download for Windows. Of course, there's no special treatment for it. Just burn through, open it up, and it might take you even through a little tutorial. Recommend it if you want to get to know your device, your application better. So we'll close out of this. So now we created our file up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to just simply drag it in here. Bang, just like that. So now we close that. We don't really need it because we got our Python calculator folder open right here. So now what we want to do is we want to create a file. We want to call it calculate. What's happening here? What am I pressing? Sorry. Okay, here.py. which turns py turns into a Python file, and then bang, there we go. We got our calculator file, program file, ready to start to code. Now, things can get interesting because now we're going to start breaking down for what we need to actually make this code. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to use def for define. So we're going to define add. How did I word this? Okay, so to describe what we're doing, we're going to define our operations. So define add, which we need an x variable and a y variable. Then we have to return, which this basically means so when you want to send the function's result back to the user, we use the return keyword. So whereas we're using an operation, when you add x and y, you're returning that answer back. So return as x plus y, and that's our first one. But we have to do this for each operation. So we're gonna do add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and it's very case sensitive, so do be careful about that. And I'll just power through this here. Define, subtract x and y, and then return your x, take away y, and then another one, define, multiply x and y variables, -8, and we want to return that with x times y, and then have define divide with our x and y variables, and then return that one more time, x divided by y, and there it is. There is our defined operations, just like that. So now when you operate it, it's not gonna display this. That's like background coding right there. So what we're going to do to get a display for when we first run the program, we need to have a print operation. So here we tell the program to print out our options inside the bracket hyphen bracket when we start the program. This lets the user know what function to use. So for example, print select from one of the operations below. So now when it says print, that keyword will print whatever's inside this bracket with the quoted mark. So do this again and we'll print out our options. So 1, we'll have add, print 2, we have subtract, and then we'll have print 3 as multiply. And of course we need to have our last one, print, which is 4 divide right on my quote mark, bang, just like that. So now when we go to run this program, it will print select from one of the operations below and give us 1, 2, 3, or 4, add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Okay, so now this ain't too bad. So now we're going to get into some of the more detailed coding into how it's actually going to make our calculations. So we're going to use while true. So the while key creates a loop in Python. It is generally used to repeat over a block of code for as long as the conditions are true. So now our choice is equal to our input. Equal to our input, which is going to be either one of the numbers. Enter choice of 1, 2, 3, or 4. And now it will ask us to enter one of those choices. So we know for sure that our range of options is within one of those, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And you can add to that too if you wanted to define more operations. So now when it plays the program, you will see the print. It will ask you about your choice and retain from 1 to 4. Now we have to be more specific about it. So if your choice in the selection of 1, 2, 3, or 4, then that's the operation. We need to select 2 numbers. So then you have to take number 1, have that equal to. So now this gets interesting because we have to think about how the calculator works. So if we were working with whole numbers, we could probably just put input and then have our number selection. But if we were to come out with a decimal, it's a different. See, whereas we don't need the skills, it helps to have the skills because it would be easier to explain it. But if the choice is in a range of our defined operations of either 1, 2, or 3, or 4, and number 1 and number 2 with the float key that returns a floating point number for a provided number or string, it will allow you to have decimal places. Now, to explain just exactly why it works, out of my range. But to know kind of what it does, it gets me the point. So I know that I'm going to need decimal places. So I'm going to have float input, of course, for your number, and then enter first number. And that is complete. But of course, you need to, if you have an operation, you need 2 numbers, so we're gonna have to do num2, and then we'll have to equal that. Also to float, because it could have a decimal place, you just don't know. If you know you're going to be simple, you could do whole places, and as I said, it might work with just the input, but it might get weird. But it's always something to play with, because that's the best part about coding, is getting into something, playing around with it to see what works, what doesn't work, and just see how far you can push something. And I said it's all case sensitive, but when you have the quote marks, it doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. It is going to say whatever's in that mark. That is to be a printed mark. Okay, so now we have both our number 1 and our number 2. So now we move on to our next step, which is going to be once number 1 and number 2 are given values from the user, the operation has been selected. We must now take the choice of the operation and print to allow us to see the whole equation from start to finish. So now we have to add some extra steps here so that we can see how the computer has taken our values and displaced it into the operation to perform its addition, its subtraction, its multiplication, or its division. So, if choice is equal, and we can do not quotes, but upper dashes, 1 for our number 1 choice, then we can print num1, and then plus num2, and equals. Oh, no, equals. Add num1 and num2 values. Ooh, don't need that. Or do I? I do. And then that is complete. So if 1 is our chosen choice, then our 2 number values given would be added. So then when they are added, it will equal whatever the result value is defined by our operation above, our sum. And this will basically be repeated throughout the whole thing. Now what we do, come down, we'll bring it back with the shift tab, and what we'll do is elif. So this basically is like also, or like continued, or other choice. So like we'll be using this to continuate as our other options. So choice equal single upper dash 2 for our second choice for subtraction. So now you can pretty much guess what we're going to do for after this, and you're right, it's print, and we're going to have num1, we're going to have quote minus this time, and then and num2, and then we're going to have and upper quote equal, and back through, and this is subtract, and of course we'll have num1 and num2, and that is complete. So now what we can basically do is we can take this, I'm sure we can do this, we do copy, add an extra line, what I'm going to do is paste. That came out all funny, but we can rearrange it a little bit. See, that's what you get for trying something new. Okay, elif choice equals number 2, but this time it's going to be 3. So we'll change that 2 to 3. And now we're not adding, but subtracting, we're multiplying. So of course we're going to have our multiplication symbol. And then our number 2, instead of subtract, of course we're going to have I spelled PHY. Multiply number 1 and number 2, and we'll do the same thing below that. So below this, we'll come back, and this time we'll try something different. We'll put it on like that, and bang, just like that, it went full force. So now we'll erase this, put our fourth. We'll also put our divide button in there, which is our slash, and then take out the subtract, and of course put our divide in there, and then number 1 and number 2. So now our operations are complete, and as our choices and our number values are selected, it will represent the equation out just like that. And if you want to take it that little bit of an extra step, you can actually ask it to see if you want to do another equation. So, for example, next underscore calculation is equal to input did you want to do another calculation? Yes or no? And then if next underscore calculation is equal to no, then break. However, if, or I guess, so that's, if you don't want to do another one, it will end. See, look, I already have a bug error there. If we went to go play this, it would give me that error. That's why I like using Visual Studio Code. But we caught it. We caught it beforehand, so it's okay. So now, if we add else, which is like another form of the elif, else, but it's kind of like separate. So like, break will end the program. It will stop it from looping. And so now when we have else, if you give yes, it will print let's go. And then it will ask you to enter your choice and continue with the operations and repeat the whole program. So now we'll test it out to see if everything works. So this is pretty easy. So you can do run, and then I just do start with a debugging. I've never done it start debugging, but I'm sure it helps if you're trying to look for a bug. So now we're gonna start it without debugging. Kind of popping up here. I'll open it up. So, look at that. So, I don't know if I highlighted that. Okay, so that's good. Now, how do I make this bigger? Okay, so now you can see our code is working. So, you didn't see this, you don't see that, but as we said, print and everything we put into those quote marks came out through. So now we'll enter out our options. See, enter choice 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna enter choice 1 for adding to test it out. Our first number, we're going to go with, you can use whatever number you want. So for this case, we'll do 45.65, and then the second number in, let's say we'll do What should we do? 45.35, and then see what that gives us. 91. Do you want to do another calculation? Yes. It will bring us back through. Let's go. So let's do a subtraction. 2. First number, we'll do something easy this time. 4, 2. You got 2. Do another one. No. Breaks. The program is done. You're back into your file. And that's it. We just built your first simple calculator. Congratulations. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give me a like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is. Make sure you follow along for all the adventures. And I'm sure there's going to be more coding projects coming out, but that's to behold. Okay? I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.